frustrated about little things, but to teach them patience. Aaron, he was raised in Egypt too. He knew everything that was going on in Egypt. But what did he do? He made a calf, golden calf, for the people to worship. When he was in charge, he was the head over there, but he went and he decided that he was going to make a golden calf. And along with his sister Miriam, they kind of were judgmental against Moses' wife. And so the lessons I learned is teach your children not to follow idols, and also teach them not to be prejudiced against people that are younger, old, poor, rich, race. Then we have Aaron's sons. He had 4 sons, but two of them were even, those 2, the ones that sinned, they even were close to Moses in the mount. And so they saw at Mount Sinai when they saw Moses in his glory. They saw that whole event, Bible says, but they decided to not listen. They burned unholy incense. And let's read Leviticus 10:8 to 11. Leviticus 10. So I'm just going to read the whole thing. Aaron's son, Nadab and Abihu, each took his fire pan, put live coals in it, and added incense, and presented it to the Lord. But this fire was not holy, because the Lord had not committed them to present it. Suddenly the Lord sent fire, and it burned them to death there in the presence of the Lord. Then Moses said to Aaron, "This is what the Lord was speaking about when he said, 'All who serve me will respect my holiness. I will reveal my glory to my people.'" But Aaron remained silent. Moses called the 2 people, sons of Uzzah, Aaron's uncles, and said to them, "Come here and carry your cousin's body away from the sacred tent and put them outside the camp." So they came and took the body and the corpse, just as Moses had commanded. Then Moses said to Aaron and to his sons Eleazar and Ithamar, "Do not leave your hair uncombed or tear your clothes to show that you are in mourning. If you do, you will die." Okay? And then we're going to read 8. The Lord said to Aaron, "You and your sons are not to enter the tent of your presence after drinking wine or beer. If you do, you will die." So it's either they did the bad thing because they were drinking. It could be possible that they could be drinking, and that's why they offered that incense. And that's why God killed them with fire. So 2 lessons. Teach your child to be obedient to God, to respect and to honor God, and not to drink. Very important. Now, Eli was a very sweet man, very loving. He was Aaron's descendant. He served at the altar. He burned incense, wore ephod. He showed deep love for the ark of God. He didn't drink, lie, swear, divorce, commit adultery, nothing of those sort. Because when he heard that the ark was taken away is when he got heart attack and died. So, just like Eli, we need to teach our children to love the Lord with the deepest heart, not to lie, not to swear, not to commit adultery. Okay? Next is Eli's sons, Phinehas and Hophni. They always scoundrels. They offered disrespectful offerings and slept with women, spoke evil against God. And you know what Eli did? Nothing. He always tolerated his son's sin. And he only told them something is when people started telling Eli, "You need to tell something to your sons. They're eating the burnt offering without, it getting cooked. They're not letting us do the right thing." And they just took it. And you know what happened? They both died on the same day. And when Eli heard he died on the same day, his wife, Phinehas' wife, was going to have a baby, and she died giving birth to the baby. Lessons from Eli. You know what? Eli was in the temple and Samuel didn't know that it was the Lord calling him. Why? Because Eli had never made him familiar that God could reach out to you because you are a priest. He never made him familiar with God's still voice. He never stopped his children. We as adults need to teach our children Bible stories and teach them how to pray, which is so important. Tell them about that small, still voice that's going to talk to you every time. We need to reach out to our kids. And always reprimand them. Tell them that they are wrong. Reprimand whenever they do something wrong. Let them know that, hey, God doesn't like it, in a very sweet way. Samuel, God spoke to Samuel when he was young, right? He was the first prophet, and God told him not to cut his hair. He was a Nazarene. And he was very prayerful. But he did exactly what Eli did. What did he do? He didn't correct his children. So his Joel and Abijah, what did they do? They took bribes because they were judges, and people used to take their cases to them, and they would take bribes and give dishonest verdict. And that caused God to reject. And people to reject, they didn't want any more judges. They said, we want a king now, because we are tired of your children. So because of your sins, sometimes you can make other people fall. Okay, so lessons, teach your kids to be honest. Never reject God as a Savior. Now let's look at the origin of sin. What school did Adam and Eve attend? Anybody? Eden, right? Mrs. White says the Eden school. Who taught Adam and Eve? God taught Adam and Eve. Jesus, the Creator himself, taught Adam and Eve. He was the instructor. What was the lesson book for Adam and Eve? Nature. Education, the book of Education by Mrs. White says nature was their book. So Adam and Eve were God's first children. They were made in his likeness, physically, mentally, and spiritually. Spiritually, so they can understand the importance of being responsible as obligations towards the garden that God had given to them, and as the first people in this world, first children in this world. They talked with God face to face. And there was no sin that could taint that creation that God had made. So what about the knowledge of good and evil? They had the power of choice. God gave them the power of choice. God taught them all the good things freely, but the knowledge of evil was withheld, Mrs. White says, because he didn't want to give them anxiety, pain, and grief of death. So when sin happened, the first sight of pain and anxiety they saw is when they saw a leaf fall, Mrs. White said. Isn't it beautiful the way she pictures it? When they saw the flowers fall. It's beautiful. When you read how she explains and she elaborates the Bible, it just melts your heart. So why is it so important to read her books? She sheds light on Bible passages. For example, do you know why God asked his disciples to catch when they were fishing all night and they didn't get any fish? He said, cast it on the right side. Do you know why? Anybody? It's amazing. It's so beautiful. The Bible says that God said, cast it on the right side. Because God was on the right side. Their boat was here, and Jesus was standing on the shore on the right side. So we need to cast our faith on his side. It's beautiful. And when you talk to your children, when you tell them about this story, and when you sing the song, fish are not, and they got no fishes, and then they had to cast it on the right side. And that's the reason that that we have to read her books, is because it tells you, it expands on the necessities of telling a child that, hey, your faith matters. Where you cast your heart matters. So when you tell them their stories, they will listen and understand. Anybody, which school did Jesus attend? Homeschool, right? He was earthly homeschool. Which school did Satan attend? Heavenly homeschool. Exactly. Do you know what the city of Nazareth was known as?
Nothing good from Nazareth.
Nothing could come out of Nazareth. Think about it. If you go to Birmingham, Bessemer area, when you hear, you're like, okay, there's going to be gunshots, violence, right? Poor people, crime, cheating. That's what Nazareth was known as. The bad neighborhood. And that's where he grew up, in a bad neighborhood. What good can come out of Nazareth? Jesus schooling, he was homeschooled, polluted city, bad public schools maybe, bad environment, they use bad language, crime. But you know what? When he came out, he saved the whole world from doom. Let's look at Satan's school. His school was heaven, the purest place on earth. Everyone there was homeschooled. Or maybe even the public schools might have been spotless and sinless. But you know what happened? Satan sinned, and he deceived 1/3 of his pure and sinless classmates. And he took them in heaven. Pure homes, schools, and churches. We all are so bent about making our churches pure, our homes pure. My daughter goes to school, and there's this kid, she always gets into trouble. She goes to trouble desk, but that's her best friend. And I told her, you should be her best friend, because she may not know how to be good, but you don't take the wrong things that she has to offer. You don't make sure that you are going to go to trouble desk, but you teach her all the good things that girl needs to learn. When I started working in India, our church, they allowed us to wear a necklace, because there's this black beads lets you know that you are a married woman. Because what happened is, when the Adventist church went there, they told them no wearing any jewelry. And so when people went, some of our faculty were going, holding hands. The olden days, they took them and put them in prison, because they were hanging out in open, committing adultery. And they had to tell, we are married. And so the church had to let the Indians wear necklaces. So when I was working at the school, our principal went on the stage, and he was reprimanding all the women, saying, your necklaces are becoming longer and thicker because they are made of gold, and Indians value, and then my aunt was sitting. She's a pioneer, right? Her dad was a pioneer. And this is the school that she was raised in, And she went, after he did all that, she went to him and she said, you are wearing a $250,000 suit, Indian rupee. You are wearing a gold watch, $500,000 gold watch. You have $1 million car and $1 billion house, and you want to reprimand us. So when we try to make our places clean and pure, we have to make sure that we are not having these other desires too. So when we correct people, here we can see about people, people make a big thing about engagement rings and wedding rings. But then when you go to their houses, the whole Hobby Lobby is in their house, like all the walls are covered with pretty, we decorate our houses, but then we don't want just to wear a wedding ring, right? Rebecca had a bangle, right? The high priests adorned themselves. New Jerusalem is all going to be precious metal. Uh, one lady came and told me, because like we were at women's retreat, and she came and told me, we don't watch movies, because the women decided they were going to put a movie for Saturday night. And I said, okay, talk to the director, she's the one who did it. She said, we don't watch secular movies. But then she watches, on Sabbath, she watches all the Adventist cartoons. I said, I have never turned on my TV on Sabbath. So people have these things that and so many, music, food. We need to quit judging people. Let's look at origin of sin, great controversy. It says there's no explanation why sin existed. It's a source of great mystery and perplexity. How did it happen in heaven? How did sin happen in heaven? With all that wisdom, with all that love, with all that power, how could sin enter Satan's mind? But Mrs. White says that it's a misinterpretation of the Bible. That was always the plan of salvation. It was always the plan of salvation. So when I was 7 is when I started reading my Bible. This is the first Bible I got.